2. Hey, everybody. You're watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Bendron, doing this from my mobile Zoom app on my phone. I am joined by my co-host, Jay Christian Gary, all the way from down south from Focus Fights.
Hey, y'all. How's it going? And we are both basically wasting, well, not really. I wouldn't say wasting our time. We are enjoying our time at 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Central, talking to Pancrase commentator, Noah commentator, pretty much a jack of all trades when it comes down to the English language connection to Japanese combat sports, Stewart Fulton. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me again. Sorry I don't have a lot of time, but it's always good to talk to you guys and to chat GMA and J-Kick and pro wrestling and all the other good stuff from out here in the land of the rising sun.
Don't forget Quintet. Listen, Quintet's, still around, right? Hopefully.
Yes, yeah. That's going to take some time, but it's definitely on the back burner. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen the meme with the girl and the guy in bed, and the girl has a little thought bubble that says he's probably thinking about other girls, and then the guy has like the thought bubble is like something like totally innocuous. I'm the guy, and I'm thinking, when is the next Quintet show gonna be announced? That's how I am.
Yeah.
Looking forward to whenever that happens. But we're here to talk about Rise and Pancrase. Pancrase 326 happening this Sunday for some. Well, for us, Monday in Japan. We got a question right off the bat from our buddy CJ from Sogukaku, talking about the rise of Karen, formerly Karen Date, now Karen Pravja. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yes.
So yes, tell us about Emi Fujino versus Karen. That will be the co-main for the Strawweight Championship.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. Karen's worked her way up through the ranks. She's looking super exciting. She's very experienced as well, as you know. Of course, Emi's been out doing other stuff for a little while, but she's ready to come back and defend her belt in Pancrase, the Queen of Pancrase belt. Because of the COVID situation, the pandemic, a lot of stuff has really just taken time to come to fruition again. But normally we have the first show of the year, the first Pancrase show of the year from February, I think. Normally there's January off. We usually do 10 shows a year. But with all the madness going on around the world and whatnot, it's been a little bit difficult. So March, we're back, and we've got some other Neo Blood shows that are going to be separate. They won't be broadcast with English commentary, but of course they'll be filmed for the archives later. There will be there's no official announcement yet, but there's going to be a bunch of number series shows throughout this year at a couple of different venues, actually, new venues for us.
So is this new venue that you're having, this Pancrase 326? That's a new venue, right? I never heard this. What's it called again? The Bell
Sal, yeah. So there's actually a chain of them around the place. When One Championship were out here, they did the big show at the Sumo Hall. They had one of the smaller shows. What do you call them? The Warrior Series.
Oh yes, I remember those.
They did one of those at Belsal Shibuya. So these are like huge event buildings with various size rooms. So the one at Takada no Baba is also new. They're all new, and it's real near the station, so the access is easy. It's brand new. It's really nice. And they've had, I think Stardom have run a couple of shows there. Maybe there's been a kickboxing event or two there, but MMA anyway. Pancrase is the first time out there, so it's going to be good. The tickets have flown out the window. There's only some standing ones left, I think, in a few seats. So it's great to see the excitement back, and of course the fighters as well. A lot of these guys have been hungry. We were able to shoot a few of them across to Ryzen, as you know, especially the bantamweights. But the rest of the Pancrase fighters, they've been waiting in the ranks, to get their hands on each other. So it's really exciting times now for Pancrase coming back.
Mm. Now, come to think of it, when it comes down to Pancrase, I know that the end of Studio Coast Tokyo probably might have hurt the promotion a lot more than, say, going to all these different venues, because for Pancrase, albeit recently, that was their home venue pretty much. But
yeah,
I think that when it comes to Studio Coast now being defunct and possibly demolished, that it probably might change the feeling of Pancrase events going forward.
It always does, and when you move to a new venue, there's always a bit of a different feel. But the thing is with the Pancrase show, well, you've seen them on UFC Fight Pass and whatnot. But if you actually go to one of the shows, the feel is still there. The whole feel is still there from start to finish. So I don't really see it as a problem whatsoever. In fact, it's quite exciting, really. It's good to have a fresh start, a new chapter.
I will say, whenever I turn on a Pancrase show, I do enjoy seeing the usually before the fight, they'll usually focus on the the disco ball in the middle of the So I don't know what the new place has. I hope they have something similar that they can always focus on, because that was only the trademark of the Pancrase shows.
Right, yeah. There was a good vibe there because it was a music venue, a club. So the sound system was awesome. The speakers were absolute. You could feel it through your chest, with the walkout songs, and it was a good view from everywhere. There's balconies, VIP seats, and pretty much everywhere in that venue. You got a really good view. And it made it very photogenic as well. It had a kind of at-home look. And without it being a huge venue, it would look packed out and really, everybody all around it. Real nice, but onwards and upwards onto the next thing.
The main event of the 326 show is going to be for the is it the flyweight championship? I have flyweight championship. Did I write that down correctly? Torugawa Satoru Enomoto.
Yes, that's right.
What's interesting though, when I was researching these two gentlemen, is that they both started off with losing records and now are main eventing and for a championship nonetheless. Torugawa defending the championship. What do you think?
Yeah.
Can you talk about this fight, Stewart?
Yeah, well, just like you said, you hit the nail on the head there. Both of them, if you watch their early careers, they had ups and downs. There was moments where they shone, and it was like, oh wow, this guy's looking good. And there was other times where it just didn't feel right at all. Something was just wrong with their performances. But as you also know, that really doesn't mean too much, because a fighter's career has got all kinds of undulations in it. There's only a few small percentage of guys that have incredible records from start to finish, and even then, if you put an eye of scrutiny to them, there's a couple of fights in there padding them out, but these guys have not had an easy route at all, and Enomoto, he had to win the 2019 Neo Blood tournament, and he got the MVP for it as well, to get some kind of recognition. Toru Ogawa, I've always basically been impressed with him, but like you said, there's been a couple of times where he's just failed to shine. You got to remember, he's Tribe Tokyo MMA, so he's under Ryo Chonan, who is a notoriously strict gym owner and head coach. Having said that, he's not unreasonable at all. Chonan is a fantastic coach and martial artist, and he has a very good eye for MMA. And the other thing is, Toru Ogawa is surrounded by champions. Pretty much everybody he's training with is a champion. So there's a lot of pressure there, And Chonan said himself that he'd been irritated, a little bit annoyed with Ogawa during some training sessions and like not been able to pull these tools out the bag in certain fights. But he's officially going on record now saying that he's very impressed and they've got a great game plan. He's looking good in training and he's looking fantastic. So making his second title defense is it's ideal for him right now. I'm not as worried as I would have been before with because he's taken a couple of nasty hits and knockouts, but yeah, he seems to have turned everything around. So this makes a really exciting main event and the flyweight King of Pancrase championship. Enomoto as well, he's at a really good gym, surrounded by good people, and he's got fantastic newaza.
The other thing that I'm really looking forward to on the show, and Chris, we talked to him about a month ago, is Hirotaka Nakada coming back and going back into a tournament setting. And
yes, our boy Hirotaka the Rich Nakada. But when it comes down, I mean, here's the thing, Stewart. When it comes down to Nakada, I mean, obviously, he has the pedigree, the future pedigree of his crew that he's training with. He's got, I guess, a little bit of star power fighting for Rising that one time. And, of course, aside from us, he's got the likability. But do you think that if he continues to win more in Pancrase, that he just might get a call from... he just might get a call from the championship committee to fight for a King of Pancrase title, or might get that call from Sakaki Bar to fight for Rising?
No doubt whatsoever. He's very impressive, and he's got the aura as well. He I believe he tweets in English, right? He's and I think he's even said some words post fight on the mic in the cage in English, so hugely marketable. I mean, those guys are diamonds out here. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot from Nakada.
And I think when we talked to him, he said that the reason why he wanted to do this tournament was because he lost in the last tournament that he was in, the Neo Blood tournament, and he said that he wants to try to avenge that. What do you think about that? That as a fighter, that he's saying, "Listen, put me back in that space that I failed in. Let me try it again." What does that tell you about a fighter like that?
Well, it's hugely impressive for one thing, and it's also the Japanese way. When you look at just to make a quick comparison, Go Shiozaki in Pro Wrestling Noah, he hit rock bottom. He had to get the shoulder fixed with surgery, and he came back, and they just threw him in there with all the monsters, And then he said from himself, basically the same thing as what you're talking about with Nakada. Shiozaki was like, "Put me through the ringer. Give me 4 singles matches, three days in a row, and I'll do them." I mean, there's just not that many guys that will, from themselves, say that, and take the risk to do that. So Nakada saying that and doing that shows that he's supremely confident, but it also shows that his way of thinking, he believes that it doesn't matter who they put in front of him. He'll make his way to the top, to championship level. So I've got nothing but respect for that kind of behavior.
And actually, I think it also connects to his fight. You bring up Go Shiozaki, and one of the things that I thought was interesting in his fight against Yoshinori Horie was that, just like in pro wrestling, sometimes when you lose, you come out looking better than if you had won. I think he came out looking out better losing that fight than winning that fight.
Basically, what Andrew is trying to say is Nakada fought like he was worth a damn against Yoshinori Horie.
Yeah. Agree 100%.
Well, I'll tell one of the other fights before we go on to Rise that sticks out for this show, and maybe you could I don't know, sell this fight to me. We got Yuta Nakamura, 22, 25, and 3, taking on a debuting Kosei Takahashi in the welterweight division. Tell me about this fight. I'm so curious about this fight just because of the disparity in records between these two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is the thing. I fully appreciate that. maybe it's unfair to say North Americans, but a lot of people outside of Japan will focus quite heavily on numbers and records. And, when you look at a record like that, you're not likely to see the guy in the UFC anytime soon. But out here, that doesn't matter a jot, the performances that these guys put on. And that's the reason why Nakamura's back. He's way down in the T-Rex Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Where's that? Fukuoka, down in Kyushu, I think. And not only is he a black belt in jiu-jitsu who still competes, he's happy to go out and bang as well. So, you're not going to get, you're not bringing in this grappler that's going to constantly shoot for takedowns, and if he fails, then the match just falls flat, on its face. You're not going to get that. He's coming out with everything he's got. So yeah, that's what makes him really interesting. Plus the fact he's got that warrior spirit, and he's a hell of a nice guy. He's just one of those martial artists that I'm proud to know. Kosei Takahashi, right? So this is the other thing. So the guy's making his debut, right? So we don't really know much about him, but at welterweight, we do know that he's a fairly big lad, and he's going to be coming out to stop Nakamura and probably not be interested in grappling with him. So yeah, this makes for quite an intriguing match, and I'm particularly looking forward to calling that.
Basically, when it comes down to the debuting fighter, you're gonna know more about him, win or lose, so to speak.
Yeah. And it goes without saying, and you guys know this, but the matchmaking in Pancrase is always great. There's a reason that Ryzen has survived this last year, and it's largely due to the level of talent that's come through Pancrase, in particular, in other organizations. But the matchmaking in Pancrase is not. It's not random, it's not who can we get to fill this spot. It's very carefully thought out. And only the guys really that are thought to be worthy of the level of Pancrase are invited in. So yeah, that debut or not, it's going to be a Pancrase level fight.
Mm-hmm. And for people who want to check out Pancrase 326, that'll be Monday in Japan, Sunday for us on Tiget. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Grandpa pronounces it one way. You pronounce it one way. Let's call it Tiget for now.
Out here,
go ahead.
You call it
Tiget. I'll call it T-Get.
Okay, fair enough.
T-Get, that's the one.
And by the way, as well, English commentary by you and Guy Delamo, if I'm correct.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to get back in there with Guy. We always have such a great time, and his insights and his catch ball with me are always great. So we're going to have some fun over those two cards, 14 matches, so two 7-match cards.
Oh, I can't wait for that. And Pancrase is going to have a great year this year. I think this is, provided nothing in Japan happens, I think Pancrase could have a great year in 2022, a nice resurgence. Now we Rise, we got, I think, the two things coming out of Rise. Well, first off, TJ, once again, Sogokaku wants to talk about Hinata Terayama's unfortunate early retirement. Team Teppen, she was looking to be part of one of the next top female kickboxers. Before she has to retire due to hip surgery. Yes, Stewart, what can you tell us about the unfortunate retirement of Terayama?
Well, because it's the news is very new. I have not been out there, and I haven't managed to speak to Tenshin's dad or anybody at the gym there. But I've got two things that I could throw out on that. The first one is, and there's no official line on this, but I have a feeling she'll be back at some point. It may take some time, but there's do not count it out that she might be able to come back at some point. It would depend on the obviously recovery and rehabilitation. and this, the severity of the operation and surgery. But yeah, don't give up completely on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna
Stranger
say,
things.
heard about that. I was like, really retiring after hip surgery, especially that young. It sounds like one of those things where dancers, when they break their ankle or break their foot and they think that they can never dance again. It feels like one of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this kind of if this is more like she thinks she has to retire, or is this one of those things that maybe now she can't do, or she can't do it for like a year or two, and then maybe
well,
back.
It's obviously very serious. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made an official press conference announcement with the boss there and whatnot. So that suggests that it'll be at least a year. But the other thing is, it's very common out here for the fighters to offer up to vacate the titles themselves because it's the honorable thing to do. Which we haven't seen with certain other organizations.
Yes, true. That's very true.
Outside of Japan. Anyway, I'm not one for taking jabs, although I just did.
Let people guess what maybe what you're referring to.
Aye. And that's nothing against the organizations as a whole, or even the fighter individually. But I do feel that it is honorable for champions to vacate titles if they can't defend them within a certain period of time.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
So the second thing is Hinata has a sister, and she looks almost identical. When I first met her, I thought I was looking at Hinata, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, she's a little bit shorter. But yeah, they look so similar. So don't count another Terayama coming through the ranks at some point.
I thought you were going to suggest that they should do what they used to do in Mexico. Was that when somebody, if a luchador died or retired, they would just pass on to somebody else and they would pretend it's that person. It's like, oh, you're suggesting that Rise pretend that Hinata actually didn't retire and just have her sister kind of like do like a pro wrestling thing where she becomes her sister or something like that.
Yeah. But the likeness is uncanny. Yeah, it's incredible.
Are we talking like Mitsuki Rui Ibata type, like
pretty much? Aye, pretty much. Even though I don't think they're actually twins. Yeah.
Well, we got the Rise El Dorado 2022 coming up, and what's selling this card? It's Tenshin's last fight for Rise, and potentially last stand. Who knows what's going to happen in a few months? But right now, it's his last stand for Rise, taking on his Team Teppen teammate Kazane. I'm kind of happy that they went with this. I was worried that they would not do this. I thought they were going to probably do Shiro or something again. I don't know. I'm very happy that it's really like Kazane really earned this, winning the tournament, being the underdog and all that stuff. And the interesting thing is that they are both teammates. And I think Tenshin's dad's going to be in Kazane's corner. I don't know who's going to be in Tenshin's corner. Maybe Tenshin's just going to coach himself. Actually, I saw a funny comment that Tenshin should coach Kazane in between the rounds. I thought that was one of the funniest comments I saw. I was like, that would actually be very crazy. And Tenshin probably
actually, that would be kind of stupid, because how are you going to coach your opponent if you're trying to psych yourself up to win?
Oh yeah, but it was like clearly a joke, but I was like, that could actually like work in a really funny way. But nonetheless, Stewart, to tell us about Tenshin's last stand.
Okay, yeah. So well, this is a fascinating match for a number of reasons. It's common, as anybody who follows the martial arts out here, for a retirement match to be against a former kohai. A former junior that you trained with. Takada was the same. Yoshida was like that with the judo world in Pride. So it's not a new concept at all. This one there's an added flavor because they're still teammates technically, and they would have been training together up until Kazane took the tournament, the Dead or Alive tournament, at least till then. And that was when Kazane came on the mic, and he was the first to say it. Tenshin's last dance in Rise is coming up, and I'd like to be his opponent. I joined the gym, so he came through from West Japan, I believe, Kazane originally. Another one of those guys with like Yaman, they came from nothing. So they're hungry, came all the way up here to the Kanto area, the gym out in Shiba there, and he said he was going into training every day and just getting absolutely smashed. As you can probably imagine, if you're a new guy coming into a gym and training with all the pros, particularly Tenshin, they're not going to go easy on you. So he's a product of a tough background and tough upbringing in the gym, and it's evident his skill level now. I mean, when you watched the tournament last year, normally guys, they kind of tire or they get a bit injured or they have to adjust something that you might not know at the time, but it comes out later that they broke their hand in the first round or something like that. So they might win the tournament, but it's a tough one. But Kazane, this dude, he comes in and he gets better with each fight in the tournament. You know what I mean? It was phenomenal, that performance, him tearing through that Dead or Alive tournament. So there's no doubt that he's a legitimate opponent. Whether he can actually beat Tenshin or not is another story. That's not many people are going to bet on that. But the fascinating thing really is Tenshin's dad is training him, like you said, which means that Tenshin's not training at the gym at all now. And basically, you've got a father training a guy to beat his son, and he knows the weaknesses of Tenshin. He knows the adjustments to make that could potentially put Tenshin in trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's really strange when you think about it. It's obviously a conflict of interest, but again, it boils back down to the culture here. The culture of throwing subjective feelings out the window and just approaching it in an objective fashion, and that's what Tenshin's dad is doing. And Kazane is he's feeling super confident. He's looking great. I don't know how it's going to go. We can probably imagine who will win, but still, you're going to see one hell of a fight. And there's also that added element as well of Kazane has to give absolutely everything, otherwise he'll lose face. So win or lose, it's going to be a fantastic match.
And when it comes to Kazane, as a matter of fact, when it comes to Tenshin's future plans, do you think that a loss to Kazane, his teammate, would probably throw a snag in those plans of a big multi-million yen payday at the Tokyo Dome or somewhere against Takeru Sagawa?
Nah, it's not going to change anything there. No. I mean, people will talk, if that did happen, there'll be doubts thrown out there, but Tenshin's record speaks for itself, and it's although arguably the Takeru match is a couple of years too late, 2-3 years too late, still it'll be a very good match to watch, and there'll be a lot of eyes on it. It will be mainstream out here.
Understood. And it would probably
get that fight over here, by the way. Just want to say that, and hopefully you could be commentator.
Oh yeah, I hope so too. And it's not because these guys are dear to my heart and I've watched their careers since the start. But it's the fact that if some mediocre commentary was put on it, I would be distraught, I have to say. I wouldn't mind at all if somebody much better than myself were in there. Total respect for that at all. I don't have any ego in it as far as that's concerned. But I these guys, all of these guys, they're very, very dear to my heart. Their careers, and I think I'm pretty much the only guy that can bring their characters and history to life in the moment.
I mean, it would make sense because of the fact that you are pretty much entrenched in this stuff. But still, though, when it comes to a loss for Tenshin Nasukawa against Kazane, regardless of that fight between him and Takaru happening or not, I think it would really draw some international attention.
Yeah. There's politics involved as well, there's a bunch of people, your Rise is really easy to deal with. K1 not so, and Ryzen's another beast altogether. So, when you've got all of these organizations going at it together, it's just, I can't begin to imagine how much of a nightmare those talks are and how slowly they must progress,
Mm-hmm. I know we don't have that much time left with you, Stuart, but I just want to quickly other fights that are going to be on Rise that are very notable. So my favorite, Kan Nakamura returning against Tomohiro Kitai. We got Shiro taking on Rudy Bata, and then Kazuhiko Suzuki taking on Mitsuki Bata. Taiju Shiratori taking on Hideki. You said Yaman as well. Yaman's returning. Unfortunately, I did not write his opponent name down. And we got Kento Haraguchi trying to avenge the loss to Muay Thai from last year. Any of those fights that you can talk about for as long as we have you?
Oh man, I would love to talk about them all because they're great. See, this card, it could, if it were a slightly weaker card, it could easily be outshone by, Tenshin versus Kazane, Tenshin's last match. And that would be it. That would be the main focus of the card. But when you look at it, it's absolutely stacked. I mean, Taiju Shiratori back in there, and he's got a lot to prove now. He really has to come back strong. So you're not going to see, he might be a bit nervous. I don't know. There might be some mental aspect to it because of where he was and the losses that he's taken. But he's an excellent kickboxer, as you know, and he's going to come out to win. He's not going to come out and play patty cake, And Hideki, he's been around for days. He's got that big. He's a southpaw, right? It's a big. Oh no! Wait a minute. Hideki. He's got a big straight. Anyway, he's got a big cross. And when he lands that, it's hard, and the guys feel it. So that makes sense for both of those guys. Kento Haraguchi, I don't know too much about his Thai opponent yet. I've still to do my research on that, but Kento is the guy's a hero, man. He's got something to prove every time he comes out there, an absolute beast. Naoki and Kosei Yamada. Naoki, he's also great, very exciting fighter. He's been doing well on commentary recently as well on the Japanese side. Kosei Yamada is his opponent. He's a very kind of meat and potatoes, bread and butter, real good basics, kind of like a lot of the successful shoot boxing fighters. So he's got a really clean style, which matches his haircut as well. So that's going to be good. Suzuki and Mutsuki Ebata. So this makes sense for Suzuki. Mutsuki, so Rui's brother, right?
Sorry, Mutsuki is, sorry, what was that again, Stuart?
Mutsuki, yeah, I'm just having a quick look here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because Mutsuki and Rui are so similar, as you know.
Aren't they twins or something?
Yes, they are. They're identical twins. Yeah, so Mutsuki, he took that loss to Kazane, but he beat Rasta before that. hugely experienced, 27 KOs on his record. It was unfortunate what happened with Rui. Rui just wasn't quite able to pull it out the bag against Suzuki. But we'll have to let him away with that, because Suzuki is a bat out of hell, as you know. He tries to finish you as soon as the bell goes. So his brother Rui in with Shiro. But yeah, like you said, Kan Nakamura, he's another one that you never see a boring fight out of him. He swings for the fences. He tries to knock the guy's head into the crowd from beginning to end. So yeah, that's going to be utter violence. Yaman's opponent, Sumiya Ito, I don't know a whole lot about him yet. I'm still to do a bit of digging on that.
How can I forget the most important fight? It's a heavyweight, the rare heavyweight. Kalyu, I'm gonna mispronounce this, but let me see if I can do my best. Kalyu Gibran taking on Kenta. Is that Nakamura? Did I think I wrote it down way too fast. Nambara. Okay.
Kenta Nambara, yeah.
So I think Kalyu's the only the lone foreigner on this card, Brazilian, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah. Kalyu, yeah, his name is super difficult to pronounce. I'm going to have to ask him when I meet him. Kalyu Gibran Marinho Borges de Oliveira.
Oh God! Just whatever. He should just be. That's an example of a kickboxer who should just go by like Kalyu, just like something like that. Like
I think that's what I'm going to be doing on air probably. So he's Brazilian. I believe he's based out here in Japan, although I think he last fought in South Korea. He's been fighting out in Nagoya, which makes me believe that's where he is based. And in fact, there's a lot of Brazilians out there in the Aichi prefecture. He's fought some MMA. He lost to Satoshi Ishii, which is for a guy still young in his career, that's not super bad. But yeah, kickboxing rules. Heavyweight, we need more heavyweights, as you know. If we get more heavyweight fights, regardless if they're fairly new guys, people are going to love it. The fans are going to love it. So yeah, I'm excited to see heavyweight action.
My last question before you have to head out. For Tenshin, what is one lasting memory of Tenshin that you have watching his career for as long as you've been watching? Like, what is the one thing that you can you'll remember about him in his kickboxing career?
Oh, it was one of the earlier fights that I called of his, where he did the triceratops pose, and then he did a cartwheel kick and knocked the guy out.
Sorry, Chris?
Was that in Knockout where he just straight up mule kicked the guy straight in the head?
After doing the triceratops pose. So he does the triceratops pose, the crowd goes mental, and then he throws the cartwheel kick and knocks the guy out.
Oh, my apologies.
It's showing on all the Rise highlights. That's like the one thing that's like the one video that they always highlight. It's like always whenever Tenshin VTRs and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like he was in a computer game. It's like, nobody could touch that timing and speed and placement, and he could just do whatever he wanted. It was like a special move finish, but it was completely real. There's nothing rehearsed about it, which made it even more phenomenal.
Exactly. And the one question I gotta ask before you head out is, right now, as we're basically talking about this fight card for Rise is not going to air on Fight TV out here in the States or internationally, and every other fight card that's had Tenshin on the card for Rise has been on Fight. Do you think there's going to be something happening with that, like right before the fight card, to how international audiences can see Tenshin's last triumph in Rise?
Yes, yeah. Obviously there'll be some official details released on that soon, but yeah, you'll see it. I'll bring it to you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's always good news to hear. And Stuart, you want to give out your social media plugs and all that before you head out?
Sure, yeah. You get me on Twitter _Stewart Fulton, STEW.
ARTFULTON.
That's right. Yes.
And now you go by Stu now, 2 O's, just so that
Stu,
everybody knows.
yeah. I decided to switch that up because, well, in Scotland, everybody called me Stu. I was always called Stu. And I've got nothing against the name Stewart. You know, it's my birth name. I like it. It actually comes through a family lineage from Scotland. Yeah, I just feel a bit more comfortable, and it feels a bit more personal if people were to refer to me as Stu, because that's you know, that's what all my friends used to call me back home, you know. So
Gotcha. And yeah, you can see Stu Fulton commentate Pancrase 326 Monday Japan, Sunday for us on Kaiget.net.
yeah.
And then hopefully, you know, when we get the news for Rise, El Dorado 2022, they can hear your voice again. Wherever that
When is that Rise El Dorado event gonna happen again?
Sorry?
When is the Rise El Dorado event gonna happen again with Tenshin's last fight?
Oh, when is it? It's April 2nd.
Oh, right, of course. So many people will have to probably stay up for some big wrestling event just to, you know, enjoy this Rise card and see the real Mania.
That's gonna be the real super show of that weekend for me, as far as I'm concerned. But Stuart, thank you once again. We know you gotta head out. Always appreciate your time, man, and looking forward to all the stuff that you're gonna be a part of this year.
Thanks for having me, guys. Much appreciated.
No problem.